So my name is Mizaki. I'm a product manager of the Cisco AI Ops wireless side. And I'm going to speak two topics today. One is one of the missing piece of the puzzle that we actually haven't really talked about as a network vendor. And second topic is the AI Ops, especially in terms of the end user benefit. We cover a lot on how AI Ops can improve my operational excellencies, right? Better monitoring, better troubleshooting. It looks like AI Ops only being used for troubleshooting. But is that really what we are looking for? What we are looking for from AI Ops is how to improve the end user experience. And the goal has to be better Wi-Fi, faster, reliable, secure. It's all for the end user. So for this time, I'm going to speak a little bit about how AI Ops improve the user experiences throughout the journey of the cloud migration, throughout the expansion of the better modeling from the cloud. All right? So I want to talk about the big number here. I mean, when it comes to B, well, nowadays we start using T, but B is still a significant number. 22 billion is 5 times of numbers of the entire IPv4 address pool. Worldwide population is 8 billion, right? But 22 billion, everyone in the world, they at least has to have 3 Wi-Fi devices in their life cycle. How many devices do you use today? 2, 3, right? That's pretty much normal. So given that we have this much of devices coming in, what types of effort being done to uniform between the client and infrastructure vendor? I will talk about a little bit of history in the later, but this is a big chunk of responsibility as a network vendor. So we ask around the multiple customer, when you have to deal with the Wi-Fi monitoring or troubleshooting or optimization, what percentage of problem indeed was looted from the client? We have a varying, we have some person said 90%, some person said 60%, so average is 75% based on our research. 75% of the Wi-Fi problems came from client. But how much we know about the client? Imagine that what we have done in the initial day of networking, right? Network is always a handshake, left side, right side. And then the first thing that we have to know to understand anything about is starting knowing each other through the LLDP, through the CDP. Where is the LLDP protocol for wireless? Has anyone been dream about having LLDP for wireless? It's interesting that the industry never came up with that idea. So how we have to understand each other? Yeah, we are essentially snooping. We do a lot of indirect assumption, data science, fingerprinting, modeling. We do all the PhD science, local science to assume what is my client's it is, right? Because we don't know really what they are. And we don't know what is the RF environment, what the coverage that look like. Have you ever dreamed that what will be end user screen on their Wi-Fi bar? If I have a 5 bar all the time from dashboard, how much you can trust that? And we know that we can't really trust, right? There's at least 10 to 20 dB differences between what AP is singing versus what client is singing. So we have to do a lot of assumption here. And that's been the industry norm from the day of Wi-Fi, I mean, day 0 from 2000 till today. Who is going to challenge this problem? Who is going to tackle this problem? Yes, industry stand up and decided to have a set of a protocol to exchange their perspective, which is 11K, V, 11R. You heard many times. But here's one thing. Using 11K, can you get the client perspective? No. If you use 11K, client know my AP perspective, but not the other way around. So still a lot of assumption is happening. Still we don't know what client is singing, what's their coverage look like. That lead to a bad decision because we never know what's the right TX power ranges. We have to do a site survey. We have to dispatch our expert. And that's been still true after 24 years of the Wi-Fi. So, how we solve this problem? Let's look at the history, right? 2000, when Cisco acquired Aeronet had this PCM card, PCM 340, 350, right? And we have Orinoco, we have a Symbol, all these vendor, infrastructure vendor, bring the client together. Because they can't really understand the client, so a client vendor didn't have enough experiences. So it was a happy time when the one vendor built together, but it never achieved the scale, right? So what we have done is Interstar Centrino, and we start the CCX promotions, right? And CCX become one of the most successful interoperability program before Wi-Fi. And when Wi-Fi become adopted on the enterprise segment, then CCS was slowly, tossed the ball to Wi-Fi Alliance, because that become a de facto standard of Wi-Fi interoperability. But problem is the first slide that I talked about, 22 billion. The Wi-Fi industry outgrew too much, too fast. So the infrastructure vendor can't keep up with the diversity of a client and scale of client. So let's go back to basic. Let's go to basic and let's have all the key players in the industry who have the biggest market share in the customer footprint. And let's set up the new way of understanding each other and exchanging their own information. That's where the partnership came in. And this is actually a repeat of what we have done in the past with the CCX program. But now with a much more smaller vendor, now we have more information that we can share each other. And with this information, now we know who they are. We know what they're thinking. And AP and client vendor also each other can understand what they're seeing in their network. If there's a fail happen from the client side, the client is sending them a failure reason code, not just 802.11 or SOC failure code, because that is a very much low level. We want to have a deeper level of insight from the client. That's where we got from the client partnership. And it will help our life, right? How it can help my customer's life, how it can help my Wi-Fi exercise and troubleshooting and optimize. Let's get into a little bit of detail on what we have learned through this exercise. The first thing that we got was device profile. And now we know who they are. We can immediately identify their types of client inventory. What type of device is being used by customer. And I'm giving example of iOS. By the way, the whole device set, we support an entire set of iOS, which is iPad and iPhone, and as well as a Mac OS. The Mac OS 14.0 and above, Sonoma, it starts support the iOS analytics. In this case, I should call it as a Mac OS analytics. And not only that, there is a Intel, there's a Samsung. Every Samsung devices from 2019 onward support the Samsung Analytics, which is available for Cisco. So this is an example. What we've learned is most of the iPhone users are ready to adopt Wi-Fi 6. Remember the few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we have to have a separate session whether we have to enable the Wi-Fi 6 or not. Because the introduction of Wi-Fi 6 broke a lot of our legacy system, right? But knowing this, that they have most of system ready, now we can safely recommend to suggest the Wi-Fi 6 as a default option. What about the software features, right? Hardware is one thing, but what about the software? From the software point of view, the iPhone users are pretty much diligently upgrading their software. And this is iOS 17 release from the November 3rd. I updated the number a little bit from last month. iOS 17 quickly become a dominant player, but really combine the 16 and 17 is 94% of the entire population. And if you think about the new software stack that we can use from Wi-Fi, such as 802.11r, 11K, 11v, Hotspot 2.0, this has been available all the way back like iOS 10 and 11. So now we know that pretty much that clients is ready to use and exercise the brand new Wi-Fi stack. So is it only about like we can turn on the new features? No, it's a lot more than that. So first of all, knowing the client's information is a starting point of a client assurance, right? If you, make up the relationship with my partner, we have to understand their mind first, right? So now with this information, we can get the information without installing any software agent. Previously, a lot of this require MDM agent or SM software, but those days are gone. When you have a CCX, did you ever need to install the special set of driver? No, right? It's off the shelf, you take it out, unboxing it, it can use the latest and greatest Wi-Fi feature. So those days came back again with the client analytic from the Cisco and the rest of the key partners in the client vendor side. And then it also allowed the seamless roaming, because now we can safely turn on the 11R without worrying too much about the breaking the interoperability. Look at the, let's focus on the fast roaming itself. In terms of fast, because there's so many features that we can explore, I want to focus one topic, which is a fast roaming. In terms of fast roaming, the top 3 vertical from our data science, from our data lake, we found that the 3 vertical, which probably you already knew the answer, the retail and professional services and manufacturing turned out to be the top 3 vertical that adopted the 11R. So these guys are pretty much know what they're doing, and they've been exercising 11R from day one. But what about the overall adoption metric look like? From the overall adoption metric look like, the Cisco have 8 million Wi-Fi network in the cloud. And then out of 8 million, only 1.45% of the user is actually getting benefit from 11R. 11R has been standardized more than 15 years ago. But adoption is still struggling in a bit. People are still very much worried what can possibly happen, what can possibly break if I change the default option. In the industry, no vendor have a gut to turn on the 11R as a default option. Every vendor took the Wi-Fi, when they have a Wi-Fi configuration, 11R become an optional consideration of every user, which kind of leave the burden to admin, and admin really don't have much of a gut to that. So how we can really break this barrier? How can we overcome this fear of the brand new technology?
Mincy?
Yes.
A question on the slide, the 1.5%
Yep.
out of the 8.5 million SSIDs.
Yep.
Is that looking at all aggregate SSIDs, or is that a breakdown of which ones are using .1x?
No, it's aggregate of all. So yeah, there was some of the question on this part. So if we break down by type of securities and all, when it comes to our Aerostar 1X network, do we have a 10% of adoption? 1X network, 10%, this including, of course, a PSK network, and even including the guest network. So if we put that as a perspective, then this number makes more sense. All right? Then 10% is still not enough. We still have to increase to 100%. Long way to go. So how we can improve the customer adoption eventually, because this is how we can improve the Wi-Fi qualities and services. So here's the suggestion from the Cisco. Why don't you leverage the power of the cloud? Given that there's 300 million devices in the Cisco Meraki cloud, why don't you create a model out of the statistical analysis, and then we can suggest that what type of readiness that you have to turn on such feature. Are you ready to turn on 11R? Are you ready to turn on WPA3? That is an industry problem at the moment. And suggest and provide a model that how much percentage of a performance improvement can be made by turning on this feature. This recommend and predict and recommendation is truly the last stages of a network automation. And then we can improve the customer experience by 4 or 5 times easily. What blocking us for customer to migrate from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 6E? WPA3, right? Do we have an assessment of WP3? Is there anyone who can provide the assessment? That is the solution that we are looking at. All right? Not only that, there's another way that we can convince the customer. Use the power of the dashboard, and dashboard offer the network performance in terms of the roaming, in terms of connection, in terms of the time to connect. And especially in terms of roaming, these provide us the right average value of every roam instances, and we can deep down into specific instance that highlighting some of the gap that we have. This is a roaming analytics screen that we have. We'll give a little time. So if you look at this dashboard, right, our average roaming time is 100 milliseconds. Looking pretty fine, right? But is everyone is happy? But you know that in the Wi-Fi, there's just one director who had a bad experiences.
Yeah.
Make my day miserable. And there's that one client out of 800 users experienced a 3 seconds of the delay during the roam. Oh my God, what is going on? So then now we can zoom into the client and it can display when and where that roaming failure happens. And now we have to spin our head to the different angle. Why roaming is failing sometimes? So it's like a 90%, 95% time is always successful. But that 5% of the failure drive us crazy, right? Because it looks like we really don't have any control to completely remove the few anomalies during the connection, during the roaming, right? So that's the topic that I'm going to cover in my next topic, right? Conclusion, client analytics is really the starting point to do a true troubleshooting and true visibility, because like every other networking, we need to know both sides. We can't really understand the network, we can't really troubleshoot without completely blind side on the client. That is the essential starting point that we have. We have to look at, learn from history. Wi-Fi industry was evolved so big, but now we have to go back. What enterprise has been appreciating their services, and CCX was a big success in our historical lessons, and we want to bring back those lessons to the end user. All right, day zero capability, day zero troubleshooting, optimization, all come to the customer's hand soon.